in the mountains of Sicily today, and we're going to be doing a yoga series meant for people with mid-back tightness or those of you who are working at a desk all day. So let's get started now, and we're going to be starting in standing.
Okay, so I'm doing a voiceover just because you couldn't hear me in the background. So we're starting with some head rolls 2 times on each side. Take your time with these. This is especially very great for people working at the desk. We don't get enough extension on our cervical spine. This is a nice stretch to some of those cervical muscles as well. And I had the lovely opportunity of filming this in Sicily, so this is something out of the ordinary for me, but it was a great privilege to do this. Okay, next we're going to be doing a flat back and forward bends with the mudra. So I just bring my hands together there, go down, and then we're going to end with coming back all the way up with extension, arms overhead, squeezing the glutes, bringing it as far back as we can, and then into a cactus, opening up that chest. We're going to repeat this 2 more times. So just a flat back, try to get that nice L shape, and all the way down with the mudra, opening up those shoulders. I like this variation going from all the way forward flexion to extension because it really helps to open up our full spine, especially in standing. If you're sitting all day, you don't get the opportunity like this to move your hips all the way forward and back, and especially at that low back. So this is an awesome stretch and warm up for what's coming up. Okay, I think this is the last one. We're going to go down into chaturanga. So nice and slow, let yourself down and up to upward dog. So hold it for a couple of seconds. Try to get as tall as you can. And down dog. So just pedaling out the feet for a little bit, a couple steps. Really trying to push those heels down as best you can. Try to get that back nice and flat. In our next variation, we're going to be going into a warrior 2 pose and doing some side bends. So we're starting on our right, going forward. So back leg is turned out, reaching forward all the way back. Side bending here. And then we're just switching, side bending forward. So we're going to be doing this 4 times, back and forth, just on the right. Each time you should feel like you can go a little bit deeper, so really try to pay attention to holding your core tight, try to bend as far as you can. This is a great side bending opener for your lower back. That's why I chose this, because we're sitting in one spot pretty much all day if you work at a desk. So this is just a different direction for your back and your full spine. And back to chaturanga, we're going to switch sides up to upward dog. Nice and tall, squeeze those glutes to allow your hips to sink down a little bit further, and then to down dog. I'll pedal it out for a couple seconds. And once you feel ready, kick up that left leg and come forward, back to warrior 2. We're going to reach forward right away and bend back. Going back 4 times, back and forth. I really wanted the opportunity to film outside finally, but you couldn't hear me. I was too far away from the camera, but I thought this was one of the best views in the village we were staying at. Good, back to chaturanga. We're going to be going into down dog first, so pedaling it out. And then we're going to step forward again in just a second. Our next variation is tall extension with arms overhead with a chair pose plus a rotation. So reach overhead, we'll start with that. So between each chair pose and with a rotation back and forth, you're going all the way up and bending back, and we're going to do this 6 times. Take your time with this. Make sure your feet are about hip width distance. Still trying to maintain a nice neutral spine, so I'm not bending through my mid-back once I add the rotation. So thinking of a nice squat, but with a rotation. Okay, last one right here. All the way up, and then we're going to go back into chaturanga. Slowly down into upward dog. So next one is going into a dolphin pose. You're going to have your elbows down, feet spread apart nice and wide. Really trying to push through those elbows, get that mid-back to sink down to the ground. I'm trying to do that here. You want to think through your shoulder blades to push, keep on pushing down to the ground. And from here, we're going to do our right side first into a low lunge. So just opening up that left hip, I'm just oscillating back and forth. Just a couple times, and then we're going to go into reaching and a quad stretch. So you can hold this for 5 to 10 seconds. This is a difficult one, but it is really handy if you have tight quads. And we're going to go back into dolphin pose. Take a couple seconds here, enjoy this stretch. Great stability strengthening too for your mid-back and your shoulders. When you're ready, we'll step forward with your left into a low lunge. So again, trying to oscillate forward, stretching out that right hip. You can put your hands on your knees if you prefer that. I had my hands on the ground. And we're reaching back, and I'm still oscillating a bit with that right quad stretch. And once you're done here, we'll go back into chaturanga. Slowly down and up to upward dog. We're going to be doing some Supermans coming up next. So you can lower yourself down, back again. We're going to be doing an alternating opposite arm and leg. So really try to keep a chin tuck, lifting up opposite arm and leg at the same time. Squeeze your glutes and your mid-back. We're doing 10 times here, then we'll take a break and we'll do another 10 times. So if you have any lower back issues, this is one of the main exercises to be completing just for more lower back stability strengthening. You're welcome to do more repetitions if you needed. This is just retraining a lot of those lower back extensors and hip extensors and coordinating it with our upper limbs. Okay, we'll go back into down dog here and just pedal it out for a second. And once we're done with that, you're going to come into a sitting position. We're going to be doing some sitting twists. So we'll start by having your left leg up, bent, and we're going to be twisting to the left. So taking your right elbow, crossing over, pushing against that outside of the left knee, and really try to push into it and look all the way behind you. Also trying to sit up as tall as you can. You want to think there's a pole line going through the top of your head, so trying to stay as tall as you can during that twist. Your other arm on the ground behind you can also help within that twist. So maybe you've noticed there's a lot of different direction of movement that we're doing at the full spine. We're getting side bending, this is rotation, we're getting extension and flexion, so all the main groups of mobility that you would need to have at your lower spine to keep a healthy spine. This one's going into long sitting. We're going to have our hands straight out. We're just practicing at making a flat back to a curved lower back. So you can see I'm pushing my hips forward as best I can. You'll notice you'll be using your hip flexors a lot with this, and even maybe your quads, to get that lower back coming up nice and tall. So this is a difficult one, but we'll be doing it 10 times or whatever you can manage. This is really helpful for strengthening that lower back when you're sitting in a chair. Of course, it's a little bit easier when you're sitting with your knees bent and on the floor, so this is a harder variation. Okay, we're going to cross our legs here. We're going to be going into something called a fish's pose, and we are going to be using our head for this. If you have any neck trouble, then I wouldn't recommend this. You can do some bridges instead. What you're doing is pushing down on your elbows to the ground, lifting up so the top of your head is making contact with the ground and your mid-back is extending up. We're holding this for about 5 breaths or 5 seconds. Take a break, and then we'll do this one more time. This is a nice extension stretch with a little bit of shoulder depression through our elbows. But if you have any neck trouble, I wouldn't attempt this. This does feel really good if you are at a desk all day. It's just the opposite direction of what you would be maybe sitting at with a computer. Okay, so laying back down all the way to the ground, knees bent. We're going to be lifting up at a 90 degrees, so hips are at 90 degrees, knees are at 90 degrees, and we're doing some twists back and forth. So 8 times. While you're doing this, you want to be thinking about maintaining that flat back against the ground, so you'll be engaging your lower abdomen muscles to maintain that flat back when you're rotating back and forth. So take this nice and slow. It's not meant to go fast. It's an abdominal workout. The slower you go, the harder it's going to be, but the more benefit you'll get out of it. All right. So last one for today, we're just going in to down dog, pedaling it out one more time. And then we're going to end with a child's pose. I'm doing a little bit of rotation with that. So knees nice and wide, reaching forward as best you can. So just take a moment to enjoy this last stretch. You're welcome to rotate back and forth to deepen that stretch on each side if you need to. I always find it helpful to be going to your end range and adding a little bit of rotation. It just helps to get a little bit more range on than what you think. So I hope you enjoyed this video today, and we'll see you next time.